Franz Kafka was a highly influential German-language writer of the early 20th century, known for his surreal and introspective writing style. Born on July 3, 1883, in Prague, which was then a part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Kafka was the eldest of 6 children in a middle-class Jewish family. His father, Hermann Kafka, was a successful businessman who owned a dry goods store, while his mother, Julie Kafka, was a homemaker who looked after their children. Kafka was fluent in German, Czech, and Yiddish, which allowed him to navigate the complex cultural and linguistic milieu of Prague. As a young man, Kafka was deeply introspective and struggled with feelings of alienation and isolation. These feelings were compounded by his strained relationship with his father, who was domineering and critical of Kafka's interests and pursuits. Hermann Kafka was disappointed that his son did not follow in his footsteps and become a businessman, and he was unsupportive of Kafka's writing career. Kafka's relationship with his father would become a recurring theme in his writing, as he often depicted the struggles of individuals who are unable to escape the influence of a domineering authority figure. Despite his father's disapproval, Kafka continued to write and published his first book, Description of a Struggle, in 1912. The book received little attention, but Kafka continued to write and publish short stories and essays in literary journals. His breakthrough came in 1913 with the publication of The Judgment, a short story that established his reputation as a major literary talent. This was followed by other important works, including The Metamorphosis, The Trial, and The Castle. Kafka's writing is characterized by its surreal, nightmarish quality, and its themes of alienation, anxiety, and existential despair. Throughout his life, Kafka suffered from a range of physical and mental health problems, including migraines, insomnia, and depression. He also struggled with his Jewish identity and the pervasive anti-Semitism of his time, which made it difficult for him to feel a sense of belonging in either the German or Czech cultural spheres. Kafka's struggles with his health and identity are reflected in his writing, which often depicts characters who are struggling to understand their place in the world and are beset by forces beyond their control. Kafka was also deeply affected by the political turmoil of his time, including the rise of fascism in Europe and the outbreak of World War I. He was a pacifist and opposed the war, but his opposition was tempered by a sense of fatalism and despair. In his writing, Kafka often depicted individuals who are struggling to make sense of a world that is chaotic and unpredictable. Kafka's personal life was marked by loneliness, social isolation, and unfulfilled romantic relationships. He was engaged to Felice Bauer twice, but the relationship never resulted in marriage. Kafka was also involved with Milena Jasinska, a Czech journalist, but the relationship was fraught with difficulty and ultimately ended in heartbreak. Despite his struggles in his personal life, Kafka was a prolific writer and continued to produce important works until his death. Kafka died on June 3, 1924, at the age of 40, from complications of tuberculosis. At the time of his death, he was little known outside of literary circles. It was only in the decades following his death that Kafka's reputation as one of the most important writers of the 20th century was firmly established. His works have been translated into numerous languages and have had a profound influence on literary and philosophical thought. Kafka's legacy as a major literary figure remains secure, and his works continue to be widely read and studied today.